Imagine waking up tomorrow, grabbing your coffee, and realizing the person doing your job actually isn't a person at all. No way, right? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a completely massive shift in artificial intelligence. And look, we can skip the tired old stories about robots taking over assembly lines or software writing basic code. The reality of what's happening right this second is so much more fascinating, and frankly, it's moving a lot faster than anyone really gets. So, what actually happens when your replacement isn't human? I mean, our knee-jerk reaction is to panic about our paychecks, right? We immediately picture this flawless, tireless machine sitting in our literal office chair, doing our exact tasks faster and cheaper. But here's the thing. Simply replacing you, that's not the end game here. The true shockwave comes from the absolutely unprecedented power it hands over to whoever is sitting next to that machine.
All right, let's get right into it with Section 1. Chatbots are now obsolete. If you've played around with AI lately, you know the drill. It's a prompt and response dynamic. A standard chatbot essentially just waits for you. It relies entirely on your momentum to do anything. But an AI agent, that is a whole different ballgame. It doesn't wait around. It actually figures out the steps, completely breaking out of that prompt and response cycle. We are literally moving from a world where AI is just a tool in your toolbox to a world where AI is an autonomous worker that you unleash.
So how does this actually work in practice? It's basically a three-step flow. Step 1, you give the agent a broad goal, like, hey, research our top 3 competitors and draft a summary brief. Step 2, it independently figures out the multi-step workflow needed to pull that off. And step 3, it just starts working. It browses the web, it scrapes the data, it drafts the brief, and it even self-corrects along the way. Zero hand-holding required from you.
Now, as mind-blowing as that capability is, having an autonomous digital worker just figure things out on its own, that actually wasn't the most surprising part of the research we're unpacking today. The real twist, it's what this operational shift actually means for you, for me, and for the entire global economy.
Which brings us to Section 2. Job loss isn't the issue. There's this fantastic point that really zeroes in on the reality. The true threat isn't that AI takes your job, it's what happens when everyone has access to an autonomous workforce. You see, obsessing over job loss is kind of a massive distraction from the much weirder reality of this tech going mainstream. We get so fixated on the worker who gets replaced that we completely ignore the worker who stays and the unbelievable, world-altering leverage they're about to be handed. Because we have to ask ourselves what happens to society when a single individual wields that kind of unprecedented power. Think about it. If one person can suddenly do the work of 10 people, the fundamental structure of a company or a market or a whole economy just fractures. You are no longer just an employee, you are literally an entire department compressed into one single human. Let's look at what that means in Section 3, the infinite scaling problem. So, picture this. One person commanding 10 AI agents. Once you strip away human limitations, stuff like needing sleep, getting burned out, or just coordinating with a team, the ceiling on what one person or a tiny startup can achieve basically vanishes. Picture your current office. Now imagine that for every single human sitting there, there are 10 autonomous AI agents grinding away silently in the background at light speed. A team of 5 suddenly has the output capacity of 50. To put that into perspective, think of the output of a traditional, multi-tiered human department. You know the drill. Endless meetings, massive email chains, inevitable delays. Now, compare that exact same output to just one person sitting with a laptop at a local coffee shop. What used to require entire floors of office space, massive HR teams, and complex management trees can now realistically fit entirely inside a single laptop screen. Okay, I know, it sounds like an absolute hyper-efficient utopia for businesses, right? But here's where the real problem begins. Because we're not just talking about your personal agent working for you, we are talking about millions of agents being deployed simultaneously across the entire globe. We're talking about your AI system constantly interacting with your competitor's AI system, negotiating deals, executing stock trades, launching entire marketing campaigns in seconds. The factual reality is, we are creating a system moving so wildly fast that human beings physically won't be able to comprehend the cause and effect of the market in real time. So let's take a breath. Amidst all this macro-level chaos and infinite scaling, where do you actually fit in? To really grasp this, we need to zoom past the giant system-level risks and look at the micro-level. What does a realistic Tuesday actually look like for you in the near future? How does a human survive and work in an economy run by autonomous agents? Let's take a look. Section 4.
Welcome to the year 2030.
Here is how AI agents will seamlessly dictate the rhythm of your day. At 8 a.m., you're not desperately sorting through emails, you're just casually reviewing the overarching strategy your AI put together while you slept. By noon, while you're out taking a walk or grabbing lunch, your agent is autonomously executing that workflow, writing the code, sending the pitches, balancing the ledgers, and by 5 p.m., you're not pulling your hair out rushing to meet a deadline, you're just calmly reviewing the final results. The workday practically manages itself. It sounds absolutely incredible, doesn't it? A totally stress-free, hyper-productive life. But as beautifully efficient as this future sounds, it brings us to the ultimate, lingering, unresolved question of this explainer. Because if this timeline is actually true, if the AI is outlining the strategy, executing the workflow, and reporting the results, well, that takes us to Section 5. Who actually does the work? If our tools are now completely autonomous workers, the very definition of human labor fundamentally collapses. Look at the projected workload for the near future. It is incredibly skewed. We are looking at a scenario where human beings are reduced to providing maybe 10% of the actual input. We're essentially just pointing the ship in a direction. The other 90%? That is pure AI agent execution. They are the ones rowing the oars, doing all the heavy lifting, and actually generating the value. And this leads to a pretty profound revelation. Maybe we're entering a world where humans who know how to work with AI simply replace humans who don't. The grand battle of our time isn't human versus AI. That is totally the wrong way to look at it. The winners won't be the people trying to outwork an agent, because, honestly, that's impossible. The future belongs entirely to the directors, not the actors. Which leaves us right here, staring down the biggest question of all. What actually happens when we humans no longer do most of the work ourselves? When your primary, number one skill is just managing the digital entities that actually produce the value? I'm going to leave you to chew on how you'll adapt to this wild new reality. Because coming up with an answer to this won't just determine your career trajectory, it's literally going to redefine the rest of our lives.